Hey guys, it's Erin. Today's the day. The ranunculus have pre-sprouted. I'll show you here in a second what they look like. They're ready to go in the ground. John has prepped the ground for me, added a bunch of compost, mixed it all in. Just need to draw out some lines and get them in the ground. It's so exciting. So look at these guys. These 3 trays are the pastels. Just a reminder, they've been sitting in our cooler, staying 50, 55 degrees for the last probably 3 weeks, and they've grown like crazy. This one is salmon. We saved most of those for the later sowing. This one, these 2 are marshmallow. They are super healthy looking. This one here is rose. It's a little behind, but that's okay. And this one is purple jean. And then these 2 over here are cream. Man, you see all those little white roots? Here's some happy little critters. All right, so I'm just gonna go get some supplies, get ourselves set up, and then I'll walk you through how I plant them. All right, let's do a quick little recap. You're gonna hear buzzing, and I'm sorry, that's the little gizmo that's supposed to run the moles off. We'll see if it works. It didn't work real well last year, but crossing my fingers. So I wanted to go over a little recap on how we got our ranunculus to this point, and then how we plant them, and how we'll overwinter them. So if you watched the video a few weeks ago, we did the pre-sprouting process where we took the little tiny dried up corms, we soaked them in water for about 3.5 to 4 hours, same as how we do anemones. And then once they were soaked and all plumped up, we put them into seed trays, these guys, with a layer of soil on the bottom, covered them up with a layer of soil on top. We put them into the cooler, set the temperature around between 50 and 55 for this was actually 3 weeks, a little longer than I had planned on, but that's okay. They look really happy and healthy, so I'm not going to complain. And now they're ready to be planted in the ground. So the reason that we do the pre-sprouting is to, 1, check viability of the corms, and 2, to make sure that they have a really good start. They've had enough moisture, they've got roots growing, and they have a better chance of having a good go at it come this fall. So it is the end of September. You can do this, if you live in a zone like mine, zone 8B, you can do this all the way up until, I would say, mid-October. I wouldn't really try, well, it depends on the weather. You might do it a little after, but I would get it in by middle of October. That way it has at least a few weeks to get the roots settled into the soil in your garden before any hard frost or freezing comes. Little bit of information about ranunculus again. They are a cool season plant, but they don't like to be cold. They don't want temperatures below about 28 degrees. So in a month, give or take, I will take you guys along as I set up low tunnel, caterpillar tunnel row covers for all of these to make sure that they don't freeze depending on the weather this winter. Who knows what we're gonna get, but I don't want them to drop below that 28 degree mark. So I will take you along as I build those. I'm not going to do it right now. It's definitely warm enough. They don't need anything like that. It's around 60, 65 today. It gets down into the 40s at night, which is perfect for these guys. That's the kind of conditions that they want to grow in. So yeah, the goal is just to get them in the ground and get them established so that they can have a really robust root system as they get through the winter, and then early spring they'll start blooming. So I am going to, in all of these rows, it's hard to see where the row ends, but like I said earlier, I'm just gonna, the pathways in between the rows this year, I'm gonna do wood chip mulch so that it's better for the soil and I don't have to deal with plastic. In between the rows, it makes it difficult to deal with. But so planting for these guys, you'll find varied advice on spacing for these. My experience, the best that I've ever done really was this year, and I planted them about six inches apart each. So each of these rows is about 4 feet wide, 20 feet long. I made this, I took this piece of PVC piping, it's 10 feet long, and I just marked every 6 inches with a piece of Sharpie. That way I can, with a Sharpie, marked every 6 inches. That way I can just lay it down along the bed and I don't have to have measuring tape and deal with all that. And then we'll plant them about between 2 and 3 inches deep. They don't need to grow super deep. They don't want to. And this should be about the perfect time. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do 6 rows per bed, and I'll eyeball that. That gives me a little over 200 per bed, and each of these trays has about 100 corms in it. So 5 beds, perfect. The last 2 beds in this garden, I'm gonna put the anemone in. And I'll plant them 2 to 3 inches deep. I'll use my trusty measuring conduit to lay down in the beds and make sure I keep my 6 inches apart for each of them. Yeah, and then we should be good. I'll get them all in. Now, so I forgot to mention, we did prep this bed. This bed has a lot of sand. It's a lot of sand and soft dirt on top of clay, but it's getting better year over year. The way that we amend the soil is we put 3+ inches of compost on every season. I put compost in between when I put in the sunflowers. I grew ranunculus in here last year, and then I grew sunflowers in this bed, and now I'm gonna grow ranunculus again. I want to make sure to break it up so it's not the same monoculture all the time. But we amended the beds with a bunch of compost. John tilled it in, and then yeah, I think we're ready to plant. Throughout the winter, I won't do any additional fertilizing, but I might in about a month come through with some organic fertilizer and give everything a nice dose before everything goes to sleep. But that's about it. I'm gonna just a quick run through again of the varieties that we're growing right now. We have 300 of the pastel, 100 of the salmon, 100 each of the purple jean and rose. I have 200 of the marshmallow, and then 200 of the cream. I'm pretty excited for how this garden's gonna look next spring. Okay, I'm just gonna set up a camera. I'll show you how I eyeball my rows. I'll show you a few of how we plant them to make sure that I maintain my depth and distance, and then yeah, I'll just get her done and show you what it looks like in the end. Okay, 6 rows. They're roughly, I don't know, 8 or 9 inches apart. Looks pretty good. Now to start the planting. Okay, let's take a look at these guys. Oh man, look at these roots. Man, 3 weeks. Look at that. These are healthy. Okay, look at this guy. Okay, so as you can see, the growth points are up. It's funny because the roots come out of the top also, but these go down. So this is the direction that you want to plant them. Okay, you can see I've laid this pipe down, and every 6 inches is the mark. So what I'm going to do is I've got this first one down right there, I'll take another one. It's gonna go right about here. Get these first ones in there. Right there. And then follow that line, the next one. Same line, the next one. And then the same line for this one. And so on. And I'll do that all the way down, and then I'll come back to the other side and do the rest of those. So that's the gist of it. So I'm just gonna set this camera up. You can follow along, and I'm gonna knock them out. I'm gonna put in a podcast and go for it. Okay guys, we got 1,000 ranunculus in the ground. I know it doesn't look like much. You can see these ones back here were bigger than the rest of them, but I'm just gonna turn on some water and get them watered in. I don't want to get them too wet, but it's not supposed to rain for at least another week. So we're gonna get them watered in. I will prep these beds when the anemone are ready, and yeah, we're good to go. I'm so excited to see how this spring is gonna look. Okay guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you learned something. Maybe you're inspired to get out and get something planted. And if you liked it, hit a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.